right, I'm gonna hang up the phone. Can you hear me? You unmute yourself. Tony? Share my screen. I need you to unmute yourself. You should have like a microphone icon in there to unmute yourself. Can you hear me? Turn your volume up on your computer or laptop, whichever one you own. Can you hear me? I'm gonna type in the chat here. Make sure you can hear me before I start. Can you hear me? You just muted. Let me call you real quick. Yeah, I'm on the phone, but I want to see are you on your computer on this Zoom? Yeah, turn the volume up on your laptop. Yeah, and then you had unmuted yourself before. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, I want to make sure that you able to hear me before we start. Well, you could hear me, but I want to be able to hear you back so I can see whether you're saying yes. You see where I typed in the chat said turn your volume up. There's a chat box in Zoom. If you go to your controls at the top, there should be something that says more on the far right, and you click the more, and it's a drop down that says chat. So you got a list of controls, like Zoom controls at the top of your screen. It comes in, it drops in and drops out. Yeah, so to the left of that, you can turn your monitor on, your camera on, where I can see you. You can mute and unmute yourself. I'm gonna ask I just asked you to unmute yourself right there. So ask to unmute. Okay, can you hear me now? Yeah, but can you can hear me, but I want to see if you can speak. So are you on a desktop or a laptop? Okay, so at the bottom of your laptop in the task bar, there should be a volume control on your task bar at the bottom. You know where you see that? Can you turn that, like, are you able to turn it up and down or bring it up? Okay. Yeah, plug your headsets in. I just want to see if I can, I can only hear you. You're muted, so unmute yourself. You got your headsets plugged in, but unmute your mic. Only on the phone. You do it now. Ask to unmute. Right. I could only hear you through the phone, but I mean, I'll keep my my speaker on the phone on while I'm talking to you on the screen, okay? All right, so what was the question?
My question is I've done phone tech support before, and it seems though that, I mean, all the videos in the world that I've watched haven't given me an A to Z. I don't have a complete picture in my head, so I'm failing closing sales. So if you could take me from A to Z, I'm able to talk to the drivers good. I've gotten some contracts, but when it comes to closing out with the brokers, I'm not good.
Okay, so so that's the point we'll start at then. So are you a member of this training?
No, I'm a member of the guy that I asked you about yesterday.
Okay, so you're not an enrolled student on this platform.
No, sir.
Okay, but that's okay. I'll take you through a guided tour of our load boards. So if you were a member and you've gotten back a dispatcher agreement and profile from the carrier, let's say that they were a dry van carrier. So I'm gonna write some stuff down so I can remember. I got selective amnesia. So let's say a dry van carrier, and let's say on the profile sheet, the carrier said they wanted at least $2.25 a mile, okay? So we know that, right? And let's see, where you calling from? Where you based out of?
Knoxville, Tennessee.
Okay, so let's say you found one. Let's say you went to a truck stop and found this person and you talked to them and they're based out of Tennessee, Knoxville. Okay, so they give you the dispatch agreement, the profile, and they give you copies of the other documents that you're going to need on a regular basis to book loads with brokers. You understand that part, right?
Oh, can I take this?
Huh?
Can I take this?
Yeah, I'm recording it right now.
Okay, you send it to me?
I'll email you the recording, yes. Every consultation I record.
Okay.
Right.
So go through that one more time.
Okay, so when you, whatever method or technique that you go after a carrier to use, whether it's cold call, visiting truck stop, or what have you, you're gonna give them your dispatcher agreement and profile. They're gonna fill that out, return that back to your email. In the body of the email, when you sent the dispatcher agreement and profile to the carrier to fill out, you ask them in the body, hey, by the way, Mr. Carrier or Miss Carrier, because we got female carriers too. Hey, when you send this dispatcher agreement and profile, I need these other documents returned to me or copies of these other documents. And the reason why you ask for that, Tony, is because when you call brokers or shippers, they ask for copies of these documents all the time in order to qualify your drivers to set up with those brokers, right? So these documents are what? A copy of their MC authority letter, a copy of their W-9, a copy of their certificate of insurance, and a copy of, if they have a factoring company, their NOA or notice of assignment. Are you aware of those forms?
Yes.
Okay.
Carrier packet that goes to the broker.
Well, we're not even at the carrier packet yet. We're at the point where you get a carrier to fill out your dispatcher agreement and profile sheet and return that to you, so that carrier can be under an agreement with you. But when the carrier returns the dispatcher agreement and profile to you, they are also returning to you, your dispatching company, copies of their credentials, copies of their MC authority letter, copies of their certificate of insurance, a copy of their W-9, and a copy, if they have a factoring company, a copy of their notice of assignment form. So you as a dispatcher can have copies of these documents in your possession as a dispatching company. So when you do finally go to a broker to book a load for that carrier, brokers always ask for copies of these forms when they send you, the dispatcher, the broker carrier agreement. They want you to fill out for your carrier, or your carrier may do it, but to fill it out, the broker carrier agreement. And then when you return the broker carrier agreement to the broker, they want copies of these documents that I just mentioned. And since you already have them in your possession as a dispatching company, it just makes your job easier to send to the broker as opposed to chasing the carrier down for them. You never know if they're busy, they're driving, they don't have time. So if that's the case, then you might lose that load because you didn't get those documents ahead of time. So this is the reason.
I think that's partly what's been happening. So when I'm going in between, I lose load. Somebody come and get it, it's gone.
Right. So is it, and what's the reason? Because you don't have the necessary documents to properly onboard that carrier?
Pretty much. I've only been getting a carrier agreement and that carrier profile. I haven't been getting the rest of those documents.
Well, why not? Were you not trained or instructed to do that? Because think about it. Let's just use a little bit of let's just think a little bit on this. Brainstorm. Let's brainstorm on a little bit. If you know that you're going to get a carrier under a dispatch agreement, and you know you go after brokers most of the time with spot market loads on the load boards, right? That's the common way to get loads for your carrier. Because you're just starting out, you don't have dedicated lanes, you don't have the experience enough to go after direct customers. So the very first step is to go after loads on the load boards, the spot market load boards. So by doing that, you talk to 99% of the time, you're going to be talking to brokers, right?
Yes.
And 99% of the time, the brokers, they're going to ask you for an MC number to see if your carrier, whether they are set up already and onboarded with that broker or not, right?
Yes.
Okay. So if they're not, let's use the worst case scenario. That carrier is not set up with that brokerage. The broker is going to ask you, okay, well, I need to send, who do I send the broker carrier agreement to? As the dispatcher, of course, you want to send it to you because you want to get that process done quicker. So they send the broker carrier agreement or the setup packet or the carrier packet, whatever term you want to use, they send that to you. And then they say, okay, and this is a common theme, 99% of the brokers always ask for these other documents. They say, fill this broker carrier agreement out. And also, in addition to returning that filled out completed broker carrier agreement, we also need copies of your carrier's credentials in order for us to qualify your carrier and do what's called onboard your carrier to our brokerage. Have you heard that before?
I haven't heard that before.
Okay, well, every broker needs to onboard and qualify a carrier before they are eligible to move loads for that broker. And the documents that's needed always, they need a copy of the carrier's MC authority letter because they need to verify that the carrier is authorized by the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration and DOT to move loads. And the MC number and DOT number qualifies them. They have an active authority. Yeah, so they have an active, right, so they have an active authority. That's number one. The second document they need is a certificate of insurance. The reason why all brokers need a copy of the carrier's certificate of insurance before they onboard them is because they need to verify that the carrier has enough insurance coverage to run these loads, to cover the amount of the load. So the two types of coverage that's common on most certificate of insurances is cargo and liability. The minimum requirements for cargo is 100,000, and the minimum requirements for liability is 1 million. Okay, so that's document number two. Document number three, they need a copy of the carrier's W-9. The W-9 shows that the carrier is having a business, a proper entity set up with an EIN number attached to their company name for tax purposes. Okay, and then document number four, which is optional, if your carrier has a factoring company, then you send the broker a form for the broker to fill out, because the factoring company runs a credit check on the brokers to make sure that they are factorable. And the name of that form is called an NOA, Notice of Assignment. Okay. So those are the forms. So that's why when I said earlier, when you send your dispatcher agreement and your profile sheet to a prospective carrier that you're going to set up under your dispatching company, in the body of the email, you say something to the effects of, hey, Mr. Carrier or Miss Carrier, I'm sending you attached are copies of my dispatcher agreement and my profile. Upon completion and return of these, can you also return to me copies of your MC authority letter, your certificate of insurance, W-9, and if you have a factoring company, your NOA form. The reason I need these forms, you can even go a little bit detailed. The reason I need these forms is because most brokers require these forms in order to efficiently onboard you under their brokerage and to book good paying loads. And most carriers know that, but if you put it that way, that's more professional. Okay, so in our scenario now, you said that we're gonna say we got a drive-in carrier, already got it under a dispatch agreement. They've already returned you copies of their MC authority letter, certificate of insurance, W-9, and NOA. You put that in your internal filing system, in your infrastructure, in your dispatching company. File folders, however you want to do that, right? On the carrier profile, the carrier said as a drive-in carrier, they wanted $2.25 a mile. Okay, let's just use that scenario. They're out of Knoxville, Tennessee. So on our website, I'm going to go to our module 2, how to use load boards, and I'm going to let me log in, and trucking planning, I'm going to select 123 load board. So I'm going to open up 123 load board. See, I have about 8 load boards I give access to my students.
This is one of them?
Yeah, this is one of them. That's correct.
You get box trucks on here too?
The box truck loads, you can drill down and filter for a box truck. You can put 26 feet, you can put 10,000 pounds, whether it's CDL or non-CDL, but box truck load boards, the ones that cater to box trucks are like My Virtual Fleet and Selectus. Those are ones you have to bid on. But you can try to put box trucks on this load board, but you may not get as many hits. So on this load board, I'm gonna find loads. So we're going to get into the scenario where you, the dispatcher, is going to talk to a broker. Okay, so now here, I'm going to say the origin, he's out of Knoxville, Tennessee, and he's willing to go anywhere. He's one of those over-the-road drivers. So he wants a load out of Knoxville, Tennessee within a 100-mile deadhead radius. You understand that concept?
Yes.
Okay. Anywhere, you could do city, you could do states or multiple states, or you could do anywhere in the US and Canada. I'm just gonna say anywhere in the US. He's a drive-in, and everything else I'm gonna leave blank, and I'm gonna hit search. So there's 540 loads right now, okay, coming out of Knoxville, Tennessee within a 100-mile radius, going anywhere. So what I do first, I'm gonna click offer, because some loads are posted with the rates and some are not. Brokers sometimes post loads, sometimes they don't. So I'm gonna push up to the top, all the ones that are posted with numbers, and the highest to the lowest. So you see what I just did, the numbers popped in now, right?
Yes.
Okay, so 6,500 going. So also with dispatching, you want to be careful not to send, you may see a high paying load and that's good, but be careful where the load is sending the carrier to and whether you got a load coming out. Because it's paying 6,500, but it's going to an area that may not be able to get out of, like Washington State. You may find something out of there, you may not. So you want to put them in areas that you can get loads out of. So just because it's high, let's assume this first one you can get a load out of, okay? So before I open it up and expand it and give the details of the load, let's figure out what the cents per mile. You know how to figure out the cents per mile for a load?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
Divided by the distance.
Okay. Now, do you or do you not include the deadhead miles in that distance?
I haven't been.
Okay. If it's over 50 miles, I'll tell my students you throw that in, but if it's under, it's not that much of it. This is 81 mile deadhead. So this load picks up in London, Kentucky, which is 81 miles east of Knoxville, northeast actually. So I'm going to include that in the 25, 45 miles. So I'm going to add 25, 45, and 81, and that's going to give me 2626. Then I'm going to divide that into the 6,500 to get the true cents per mile, because I want to include the deadhead to see what my real cents per mile is. So 6,500 divided by 2626 now, because I added the 81. And now it's $2.48 a mile. That's still above what your carrier put on their carrier profile as the cents per mile that they wanted. They wanted at least 225. So you're winning still, right? You're still winning.
Yes.
Plus the fact that it's only pushing 20,000 pounds. Most dry vans can go between 42 and 45,000 max. Most carriers don't want to, and on your profile, your carrier said their max weight that they're willing to haul is about 40,000 pounds. Most carriers, if they're smart, they don't haul the max weight that the trailer can haul. They haul the max weight that they're willing to haul to help save on fuel costs. Like, yeah, it makes sense, right? If I'm a carrier, if I can max 45,000 pounds, I want to haul 40 because I want to save on fuel costs. I ain't trying to push the max unless a load is paying extremely well where it requires a max for me. Then as a carrier, then I'll be willing to do that. But other than that, no. So this one's everything is there. So now you call your carrier. You say, yeah, I got family in Washington State. Let me just go visit them. I'll go take that load over there, and I'll do my my 34-hour reset, and then I'll just find something coming out later on, or I'll call you. So you can ready to book this load. So the company is SRAM Logistics. Okay. So you call. So here's the process. You call SRAM Logistics, and you say, hey, dispatch, right here. You call dispatch at this number, right? And if it even has a reference number, right? It picks up today. So you say, hey, dispatch, I'm looking at a load picking up today for a drive-in out of London, Kentucky, going over to Washington State. Is that load still available? Say just like that. You want to say, and the reason why you say, is that load still available is because sometimes brokers either forget or intentionally don't take loads off of the load board posted, even though the loads have been covered. Sometimes they forget, sometimes they do it as a strategic way because that number is high enough, it may draw other people in, and brokers are trying to get people to onboard to build up their carrier database. So that's a strategy that they use. I'm just letting you know, okay? So you say, is that load still available? So dispatch at SRAM Logistics say, yeah, let me check. What's your MC, by the way? Dispatchers don't have MC. So what they're asking you is to give you the MC, to give them the MC of who? Your carrier, right? So you give them the MC, they're going to look it in their system. They're going to tell you one of two things. Either the carrier is already set up with them, an approved carrier, or they are not, and they need to be onboarded. Let's go with the worst case scenario that they're not. They say, we see that you're not set up with us, but that's not a problem. We can send you who do I send the broker carrier agreement, setup packet, carrier packet to? So as a dispatcher, who do you think that broker should send that packet to?
Should send it to me.
To you, exactly.
I get left out.
Exactly. Send it to you because you're the middleman right now. You're finding a load for them, so you might as well finish the process. So here's my back office too under forms and documents. Can you see my screen?
Yes, sir.
I got all these forms and documents back here. So carrier packet. I'm gonna do carrier packet. And the two packets you're going to need from brokers that you deal with most of the time is carrier packets and rate comms. So the first package he's going to email to you, he's going to say, I'm going to send my broker carrier agreement. So all these terms mean the same thing. I'm just telling you all the terms. So when you hear one, you'll know it means that as well. Broker carrier agreement, carrier packet, setup packet, onboard packet. Those all mean the same thing. It is just an agreement between the carrier and broker to get set up with that brokerage to move that load at that point, or future loads, as a matter of fact. So, they email you this. In most cases, the brokers will have their portion filled out. And also, too, let me make a little side note. Sometimes brokers now have an onboarding system that's done online. They can send you a link to their internal website and an onboarding process called RMIS. Registry Monitoring Insurance Service, where they'll send you a link, you'll click the link, you'll put your carrier's DOT or MC in there, and then most of the information is automatically populated because most of your carrier's information is a matter of public record through FMCSA and DOT, and then you just need to fill out a few other small things that may not be there, and that process is faster. I'm just showing you the conventional old way, just in case you still get a broker who does not have an onboarding system that goes through a link through an RMIS. So they send you this, you fill out on where it says carrier, you fill in the carrier's information, not the dispatcher information, right? ABC Trucking, right? I'll just call myself ABC Trucking, the drive-in carrier you got, right? And you kind of peruse through here, make sure everything is good. And any questions you have, you can ask your carrier and the broker. And then down here, the broker will have their information already pre-signed and everything. On the carrier side, you sign the carrier, you print the carrier's information, you sign the carrier's information. Title is always going to be owner, company name. Most of the stuff you can get from your carrier profile sheet because your carrier had previously filled out that profile sheet along with the dispatch agreement when they initially got set up with you, okay? And then
when they do that carrier sheet, that allows me to do that right there. Is that correct?
When they do the dispatcher agreement and profile, now you could put like on my dispatcher agreement, I have a little clause. It's called a limited power of attorney, where the carrier signs that, giving you permission to sign their name on their behalf. You can structure your dispatcher agreement to do something like that as well. Or you can get written, express, verbal, text permission from the carrier. Hey, can I fill this out on your behalf for you? Yeah, just text me that so I can have confirmation that you actually author, and that'll hold weight in a court of law, whatever. So, so you fill out this, and this is the broker carrier agreement. So the only thing the broker carrier agreement, setup packet, onboarding packet, carrier packet, only thing that does is just get your carrier set up and approved for a particular brokerage. It does not book the load. What books the load officially is the rate confirmation. Once that rate confirmation is signed and sent back to the broker, then that load is officially booked. So the broker carrier, so there's two types of forms you need when you're communicating with a broker, either a carrier communicating with a broker or the dispatcher communicating with the broker. It's the broker carrier agreement to get onboarded with the brokerage, and the rate confirmation to officially book that specific load and other loads going forward. Now, you only need to do a broker carrier agreement for your carrier with a particular broker only once. You only need to fill it out one time. You sign different rate confirmations for different loads that you book for that same broker over and over again, different loads. You may have one broker like Coyote, but you may book a load today, you sign that rate confirmation for that specific load. Next week, you may find another load with Coyote. You got to sign that rate confirmation for that specific load, so on and so forth. You follow?
Yes.
Okay. So fill out this broker carrier agreement. You send this back to the broker. Remember what I was saying? You send this back to the broker along with those other documents, the MC authority letter, W-9, certificate of insurance, and the NOA power of attorney. So I got the other documents forms. So people who are new under my training can see what they look like and know what they are, so when they see them. So here's what an MC authority letter looks like. You may have seen one before. Okay.
I don't even know.
Say,
I'll have to go back and look and see, but I'll check.
Yeah, can you see my screen?
Yes.
That's what an MC authority letter looks like. It's issued by DOT and FMCSA. It has the carrier's MC number and DOT number. It has their service date when their authority became active. This is just a sample template. And it has the type of a MC authority they are. This is a common carrier. You got common carrier, contract carrier, passenger carrier, household goods. So the two that you may run into is common and contract carrier authorities. Okay, that's the first document. The second one, the W-9. This is what a W-9 looks like. Carrier usually have their personal name as it on their IRS income tax return, and then they may have on line 2, they may have a DBA, doing business as ABC Trucking. In section 3 or line 3, it has the legal entity type, whether they're sole proprietor, individual sole proprietor, single member LLC, S Corp, C Corp, or what have you. And then lines 5 and 6, city, state, and zip. And in part 1, they have their EI, not their social that's associated with their business, but their EIN number that they got from the IRS.gov when they went to the IRS.gov to apply for an EIN number. They had to have established a business first, got a business license, because when you go to the IRS.gov to apply for an EIN number, which is an employer identification number, they asked you if you have a business and what is the name of that business and what is the type of business it is, what industries it is, and stuff like that. Then they issue you, they'll give you a random number, and that's your EIN number. So your EIN number is like a social security number for your business. Just like a social security number is your personal identifier, your EIN number is your social, which is your personal identifier for your business, okay? And then they simply sign and date it. So that's a W-9. And the next one is the certificate of insurance. Now, sometimes, here's an example of a certificate of insurance, and date, the producer is the insurance company, let's say Progressive. The insured is me, ABC Trucking, the carrier. Over here is the insurance agent, Sally Mae or whatever, whoever the agent is, Jane Doe. Their contact information, if their phone number, fax number, email, first and last name, over in this area right here. Down here's the policy information, the policy number, the type of policy, whether it's liability or cargo, and the beginning and expiration dates of that policy and the amounts, okay? Down here at the bottom, usually where it says certificate holders, sometimes, I'm gonna talk about this just a little bit. Sometimes brokers will ask to be made the certificate holder on a carrier's certificate of insurance when they are booking that specific load. So they'll ask you, can you make us a certificate holder on your carrier certificate of insurance? And you say, yeah, no problem. And the way to do that is a simple process. You call the number of the agent and you say, hey, Mr. Agent, hey, Jane Doe at Progressive. My name is Tony. I am the logistics manager dispatcher for ABC Trucking. I need a certificate of insurance listing as a certificate holder the following brokerage. They're going to say, okay, let me verify something real quick, because they get a lot of calls. They're just not going to do it just because you said it. They need the policy number so they can verify that it's one of their clients. So you give them the policy number. They may even put you on hold and call the number associated with that policy number, the carrier, me, ABC Trucking, and say, hey, somebody's calling me asking to be having a broker made a certificate holder. Is that somebody you know? Yeah, what's their name? Tony. Oh yeah, that's my dispatcher. Go ahead and do whatever he's asking. Then they'll hang up, take you off hold. Okay, Mr. Tony at Tony's Dispatching. I just spoke to the carrier. He said it's fine. So what's the name of the brokerage, street address, city, state, and zip? You give them that name. In this case, it was what? Schramm Logistics. Schramm Logistics, 123 Main Street, anywhere USA, 12345. You just give them the name of the brokerage, the street address, city, state, and zip. They're going to type that information in this box that says certificate holder. And then they're going to ask you, the agent's going to ask the dispatcher, who do I email or fax this to? So you want them to send it to you. Or this is a more professional way you do it. You say, send it to the broker's email, because you've been communicating with the broker, so you got their email. Send it to the broker's email, but CC me a copy of it. So it looks more professional that a certificate of insurance with that particular broker's information on it as a certificate holder is coming directly from an insurance company of the carrier, wouldn't that look more professional as opposed to it coming from a dispatcher?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, so that's what I instruct my students to do it that way. And the agent has no problem. They'll CC you when they send it directly to the broker. So that's the third form. So you got the MC authority letter, the W-9, a certificate of insurance, and then the last form is the notice of assignment. If ABC Trucking has a factoring company, then when you got the carrier set up with a dispatch agreement with your dispatching company, they sent you a blank form, a notice of assignment form that you're going to send into the broker, and the broker's going to fill all this out to have a credit check done on that brokerage by the factoring company to make sure that they are quote unquote factorable. And then the factoring company will let the carrier know whether they're factorable or not. Okay, so you fill out the broker carrier agreement, you send that back to the broker with all those other forms and documents. The brokerage, in this case, Shram Logistics, is going to process all that information into their system, run it by their compliance team for approval. They're going to come back and approve ABC Trucking and call you back and say, hey, Mr. Dispatcher, your carrier's approved, they're onboarded. Let me send you the rate confirmation on that particular load that you're currently trying to book, London, Kentucky to Washington State. And they're going to send you a rate confirmation. And this is what a typical rate confirmation looks like. It has the carrier's information on it, their phone number, the miles on the load, the weight, whatever the commodity is, what they're hauling, where it's picking up from, the shipper, where it's delivering to the receiver or consignee. The shipper, the other name for the shipper is a consignor. So consignor, consignee, or shipper receiver. Those are two. So you pick up from shippers, you deliver to receivers. Has a load number, a reference number, a BOL number, bill of lading, pieces, pallets, pickups, extra stops, loaded date and times, if they're appointed times or first come, first serve. All the information you would need on a load will be on the rate confirmation. The dispatcher, with their carrier's permission or the carriers themselves, if they agree with the numbers according to the load board numbers or what you may have negotiated more for, then you simply print, sign, date, phone number on that and send it back to the broker. And then that is the official booking of that specific load. That's how that works. And that's the same process all the time. It may be faster in some cases, it may be slower in others, depending on the broker, depending on the dispatcher, and the process itself, whether it's paper or whether it's automated online. But the process is the same. The only thing that changes are the players, the brokers and the carriers, right? But the process is the same. You know, you call about a load, the broker checks to see if your carrier is already set up with them. If they are not, they're going to send you the broker carrier agreement. You fill that out, return it with the other documents. The broker processes all that stuff, approves or not approve, and they'll tell you why you didn't get approved. Maybe your insurance was expired. You may have to call the agent to get an updated insurance, or whatever the reason. If you still want that load and you still have time to book it, you can fix that quickly and then, you know, get approved, send the rate confirmation over, make sure the numbers are good, any special instructions, sign that, send it back to the broker, and then the load is officially booked. And that's it.
All right. Know why I haven't booked any loads yet?
Why?
I ain't been ready.
Oh, well, when are you going to be ready?
As soon as I get all this paperwork together.
Okay. Well, hopefully, I don't know if I told you anything that may be new to you.
Oh, yeah. That's why I said that. That's why I don't know what I've been doing, but I haven't been ready.
Yeah. I hope whoever, who your trainer was, we won't say any names, hopefully they'll give you more detailed information like this.
I probably won't even talk to him no more. I'll probably be calling you from now on. but the reason is, I understand you. You're a better teacher than what I've heard on these videos and these courses. I understand you.
Right.
So let me get started with this. Let me see if I can ask you a question before you go.
Yeah, you got time for one. We've been on here 37 minutes, so we passed our time, but that's fine. I'll let you do one question. That's cool.
I had one, but you was talking, so I'm just, How much is your course?
Let me go to the website. Let me log out of here. And the ongoing course is $3.99 to enroll, and then a $19.99 a month subscription to maintain all the access 1 month after the enrollment date. So if you go to the website, you can pretty much read that right on the front page, the beginning page, everything that's included right here. I need to add, we got live trainings on Wednesdays at 6 p.m. Eastern. Actually, I added another day, Saturday at 12 noon Eastern, and Sundays at 11 a.m. Eastern, live trainings. I need to update the website. And then everything else is detailed here. You can actually watch the video. I need to put a new video. But the single member is $3.99. The 2-for-1 is $5.99. That's on the Dispatcher one-on-one side. I also do freight brokering, but I'm getting more traction on the dispatching side, so that's fine.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much. I'm blessed.
All right. With your permission, this recording is going to either go on my back office or on YouTube. Are you okay with that?
Yes, sir.
All right. Just want to make sure. I always get the person's permission before I do anything.
Okay, cool.
All right.
Cool.
All right.
Thank you so much. We'll talk to you later.
All right. Thank you. Okay, guys. This has been a Dispatcher one-on-one training for beginners consultation with Mr. Tony. He called me. He was on another training, and he wasn't getting as much as he thought he needed. So he called me, and his area of concern was mainly booking the load through the broker. He wasn't concerned about getting a carrier. He has a carrier under a dispatcher agreement. He wanted to know what the process is of, when you call the broker, what is everything involved in that, from the time that you do the conversation with the broker, the dialogue, to the time that you officially book that load with that broker and everything in between. So I went over that in a little detail with him. And hopefully, for those of you who are viewing that, who are interested in being dispatchers, this will be on the YouTube channel for you guys to review and go over as well. And hopefully there was some clarity for you guys. And it sounds like Mr. Tony was satisfied with the service. So if anyone listening on this broadcast is interested in joining our training, Dispatcher one-on-one training for beginners, I will have all the links and my contact information in the description of the YouTube video. In the meantime, I look forward to seeing the new members and ongoing members on Wednesday nights at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Saturday afternoons at 12 noon Eastern Standard Time, and Sunday mornings at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So I've added another day of training, live trainings for you guys. Those Wednesdays and Saturdays are more so the basic level people. I've added 2 days for that, and then the 1 day Sunday will be for the more of the intermediate students. So thanks for tuning in. I look forward to hearing from you guys. You guys enjoy your week and be safe.